In this video, I'm going to show you the most commonly asked questions in IKEA interviews, and I'm going to help you plan really good answers to these that will help you get a job at IKEA. So let's start with a question that comes up extremely frequently, and it comes up so much because it's super important. And that is, what times are you available to work at IKEA? And they're going to be very interested in knowing what times you're able to work. And the more times you can show and the more flexibility you can show, the better the chances are that you'll get the job. So to answer this, the first thing you want to do is try and say yes as much as possible. You want to be saying yes if they're asking about specific times. If they're asking you about a certain time, it's because they require staffing at that time. And if you're saying no, it's going to make it much harder for you to get the job. You want to be as flexible as you possibly can. The more flexibility you can show, the better. The next thing you want to do is think about meeting IKEA's needs. They need people in to staff the store and maintain their customer service standards. And if you're not able to work the times that they're looking for, they will go with someone else. And fundamentally, you want to show your commitment to the job. The way that people mess this question up is they immediately list all the times that they don't want to work and all the times they prefer not to work. And that's very negative, and it can ruin the whole interview. You want to be focusing on the times that you can do and volunteering as much flexibility as you can, because that will help you to get the job. So things you could mention is, I can work all the hours on the job advert. So if IKEA has put certain times on the advertisement for the job, say that you can work those, because that's showing you're meeting what they're looking for. You could say, I can work the full range of opening hours. That is the perfect answer. It's basically saying that you can work anytime the store is open and that you will schedule everything around your working time to make this a very important part of your life. So you're showing commitment to your job and that you take it very seriously. The next thing you could say is, I'm happy to work early before opening. They need lots of people to set up. So that's one thing you can offer in addition. And then you can say, I'm open to overtime if and when needed. You may be offered overtime, you may not be offered overtime, but it's a very positive thing to say in your interview that you're open to it. Now, that's how you answer that. Very simple. Just focus on what you can do and don't spend a lot of time talking about what you can't do, because it's very negative. So let's move on to another super important question, which is, what do you know about IKEA? And unsurprisingly, IKEA is going to expect you to know about their business before you go to interview, and you have to do your research. And the good thing for you is, I've already done the majority of the research and will point you in the right direction with the facts that you can use in your interview and some suggestions for further research you could do to make your answers even better. So when you're asked this question, what you need to do is work out the way in this diagram. So you start with the really, really obvious facts. Show that you know the basics. Then you want to demonstrate that you've actually bothered to do some research. That puts you one step ahead of anyone going for interview who hasn't really done very much research. And then what you can do is drop a few really great facts that only a few people would actually know, to show that you've really done lots of good preparation. So let's run through the key facts on IKEA that you can take to your interview. So as I say, start with the really obvious. They are a furniture and home retailer. That's basically what they do. They specialize in selling ready-to-assemble furniture, appliances, and accessories. That's the vast majority of their business. They sell things in a flat pack form. So for example, if you're buying a desk, it's not going to be fully assembled. It's going to be disassembled and packed very flat, and then you can put it together yourself. It emphasizes affordability, design, and comfort. That's what they're all about. They are, of course, a Swedish brand. They were founded in Sweden, and that is part of their history. They are notable for what's become known as the IKEA effect, and it's in a kind of psychological effect where people become more emotionally attached and invested in and value items of furniture much, much more that they have built themselves. So when you buy something flat packed, put it together, it actually means more, and they call that the IKEA effect. The stores are notable for their one-way layout. So if you walk into an IKEA and you just start walking, you will basically walk the entire distance around the entire store and see everything. And that's very deliberate. It's not the case of just go in, go to one department and get what you want. At IKEA, they have you walk around the entire store to see everything. It's based around a two sort of thing system. One part of it is the kind of showroom where they're showing you the products, and you will go around with a pencil and note down what you want to buy. And then at the end of your visit, you go to a self-service warehouse where you can pick up the items that you want in the self-service warehouse and then take it to the checkout to buy it, which is very, very different to a lot of stores. You don't just pick things off of shelves as you're going round. You go to a bit at the end to collect your products, and that's very unique. They also have food markets that are quite popular, and they have an in-store cafe that's also quite popular. One thing that's quite notable is the stores come with a kids play area, so parents can drop their children off and they'll be supervised, freeing them up to focus on their shopping. They do offer currently a buyback program, so rather than people just throwing out their old furniture, you can take it back to the store and get paid, and that goes into their recycling efforts. They have a loyalty program. It's currently based around the IKEA family card. Check what the current loyalty program is and understand exactly what that offers, and that's a good thing to take to your interview. They were founded in 1943. That's a good number to remember and say in your interview. They were founded by a man called Ingvar Kamprad, and you can basically pronounce that name. It's not easy to pronounce for an English speaker, but if you break it down into syllables, it's manageable. Then you can say that it was founded originally as a mail order business. That's where they got their start. And then you can also say that a lot of the profits of the company go to the IKEA Foundation and end up going to good charitable causes, which could be one of the reasons why you're also interested in working for the company, because they give so much back to charity. As a top tip, I'd suggest that you take some time to read the About Us page, and also on the IKEA website, you have lots of information pages where you can find out lots about IKEA. So I'd recommend that you scroll to the very bottom of the IKEA webpage, and then you can learn a lot about the company from that. So this is what you need to take to your interview. Feel free to screenshot this page, copy it, write down some of the facts in bullet points or whatever you need to help you learn this, or you can watch this section again and make sure you have all of these facts to take to your interview and you'll be well prepared. Let's now move on to another super important question that comes up very frequently, which is how you deal with an upset customer. Fundamentally, what IKEA want to hear here is reassurance you're going to do the right thing and a customer service focus. You want to solve the problem of this customer being upset. So let's look at the simple things that you can say in answer to this question. So the first thing is, make sure you reassure them. You're going to stay calm and you're going to be professional. If the customer is angry, the customer is rude, you're not going to rise to that. You're not going to shout back and be argumentative. You're going to stay calm and always be professional. You're going to de-escalate the situation if needed. De-escalate's a good word to use. It's all about calming the situation down, getting the situation under control if the customer is quite irate. Then you're going to say you're going to listen to the customer. You've got an upset customer. They've got something that's went wrong, something that's annoyed or upset them, and you want to listen to them very carefully and show that you're actively listening and that you care. Then what you're going to say is you're going to understand exactly what the problem is and what the customer wants. So what is the customer's problem and what is it that I need to do to be able to solve this customer's problem? So it's all about having an understanding. And then you say you would work to address the cause of upset to deliver an excellent service. If something has gone wrong, you're going to apologize and do your utmost to fix that problem. So to be successful in this question, just basically go through each of these key elements about staying calm, de-escalating, listening, understanding, and then fixing. And if you talk about that, you're going to have a really great answer. Nice, easy one to answer. So let's move on to the next question. And it depends exactly how they ask it. Sometimes they ask, why do you want to work for IKEA? Sometimes they ask, what made you apply to work here? And basically these two questions you can answer in exactly the same way. And this is not one you want to make up on the day. It's really good to have this one planned out. So feel free to bullet point some ideas. And I would recommend that you learn a simple answer to this before your interview, because it's not going to be a very good answer if you try and make it up. And I'll give you some inspiration of things that you can say. So the first thing you should think about is, What do you think you would most enjoy about working at IKEA? That could be a good explanation of why you've actually decided to go for this job. So, do you really enjoy working with customers? Have you got experience working in retail and you've really enjoyed it? Do you have a real interest in furniture and design? These are the sort of thing that you could talk about. Then you think about, how does IKEA match your skills and interests? Again, if you've got a strong interest in design, make a point about talking about that. If you've got lots of skills and experience in customer service, and that you're really good at that, and you enjoy meeting new people, you enjoy working with customers, that is something you can talk about. That's a good match for your skills. Then you think about, how could you develop your career here? You're applying to a very, very large store. IKEA stores are far larger than most stores out there, so there's going to be more opportunities. So talk about how you could see a career being built here. You could grow with the business, and that since it's a large business, there's going to be opportunities once you've proved yourself and shown that you're a strong employee to progress. And then whatever you do, be really enthusiastic. Show passion in your answer. And if you don't, it's not going to go down very well. If you're someone who's very enthusiastic in answering this and very confident because you've planned it, it's going to make a much stronger impression and make you look like a much better candidate. Some other things you can talk about. So interest in design is a good thing. That's big on IKEA's list. You can talk about vision alignment. So IKEA donate a large amount of money to charities, and they are very interested in sustainability and reducing the environmental impacts of their business. So if you have an interest in charity and sustainability, you can talk about that, how not all companies that you could work for have such strong commitments to sustainability and giving back, but IKEA does, and that's something that you are really interested in. If you know someone that works at IKEA, you don't need to name them, and I would recommend that you don't, but you can talk about knowing people that work at IKEA and all the positive things that they've said and why they've suggested that IKEA is a good place to work, and you can share in their positivity. You could talk about your love of the IKEA brand. If you've been a customer there for a long time, you can definitely say some positives about it. If you are interested in working in a fast-paced work environment, that is something you can also say. So you've got quite a lot of good things that you can be talking about, and this will get you through this question. The last thing you could say is it's a very active job, so you're going to keep fit, you're going to be moving around a lot, and maybe you're going to be lifting heavy things, and that is something that you think is a positive, and I would mention that. So that is how you can really ace this question. So take as much as you need from this slide, plan out an answer, learn it, practice it a few times, and it'll be so much more confident and such a good answer if you take the time to invest in developing that good answer. The next question that IKEA asks quite regularly is, what is your 5-year plan? Again, you might only have 10, 15 seconds of thinking time in an interview, and it's quite hard to plan out the next 5 years of your life in 15 seconds. So it's good to have thought about this before you go to your interview. So I'm going to show you the wrong things to say and the right things to say, and then give you some inspiration of things that you could talk about to get through this question. So the wrong things is things that are not relevant. Don't go on about, buying a new house, moving to a new city, or things in your personal life, getting married, for example. These are not things, buying a dog. They don't care. It's not relevant to your job. Focus on career things. Bad answers also have no improvement or learning. It doesn't give them the idea that in 5 years' time you're going to be much, much stronger, you're going to be better, you're going to be continually getting better and better and better and be absolutely amazing. So they might look at you as a candidate and say, maybe you're new, maybe you've not got as much experience, but where are you going to be in a few years' time? How can we develop you? And the worst thing you can say is give the idea that you're going to be quitting IKEA, because the time to talk about leaving a company is never the interview to get a job there. So don't mention anything in your 5-year plan that suggests that you're leaving. Bad idea. Now let's look at what a good answer should have. So it should be believable and sensible. So don't talk about being the chief executive of IKEA or being the head of the entire store. Don't insult the person interviewing you by suggesting that you're going to be one level above them in 5 years. That's not going to go down very well. Focus your answer on getting better, learning, developing, and then have a very basic plan. And it doesn't have to be about moving up. You can be staying at the same level, and we're going to look at some inspiration of what you could talk about. So you could say one level up. So in 5 years, you want to be one level above where you're applying. If you're not looking to move up, that's absolutely fine. Talk about being really outstanding in your current role, being extremely knowledgeable about all of IKEA's products, being the go-to person. And when new staff join, you would hope that in 5 years, managers would look to you as the perfect person to train up others. And that's something you're really interested and passionate about. So there is some ideas about what you could say for your 5-year plan. And if you do that, it will get you through this with a good answer, and it will not highlight anything that you don't want. You don't want to be giving the idea that you're leaving or saying the wrong things. This is a question to survive and give an okay answer to, rather than worrying about giving the perfect answer. It's really screening you to see if you've got some undesirables in your 5-year plan and whether your 5-year plan matches with what the company wants. So let's look at a bonus, which is some questions that you could ask IKEA at the end of your interview. And the worst thing you can do at the end of an interview is when they say, do you have any questions for us? And you say, no, I don't. That shows a lack of preparation and a lack of interest and a lack of motivation. It's really awful. So here's some suggestions of some questions that you might want to ask them. So you can ask, what happens next in the IKEA recruitment process? So show that you're really interested in getting this job and you really care about what the next steps are. And one, you want to know, and two, you want them to know that you're interested in knowing. The second thing you can ask about is, can you tell me more about the team I could be working with? Show an interest in your colleagues. You could ask, what do you personally like best about working for IKEA? And you can share in their enthusiasm and share in their positivity. So when they say something, you can agree that that's something that you would really enjoy, and you can revisit your answer on why you want to work for IKEA and incorporate that in your reasoning. You might want to ask them, can you let me know a little bit more about the training and induction program for new staff here at IKEA? Show that you're interested in your training. You could ask, is there anything you would suggest I do now to prepare for starting if I was successful at interview? And you can make a commitment to doing that. And then lastly, try and think up one on the day. Just double check it's an appropriate question. And if it is, you could ask that. Lastly, I will say never ever ask about holidays. Don't ask about the process for transferring to another store. They're trying to hire someone to work at their store. They don't want someone, especially if you're good, working for them a little bit, training you up, and then you're moving somewhere else. It kind of causes problems for them. They are trying to staff this store, not someone else's store. So never talk about transfers, and don't ask about pay during your interview. You should have found that out before you went there. So I hope this video was helpful. Please post in the comments below what questions IKEA asked in your interview. And I'd appreciate if you'd like and subscribe if it was helpful to you. And finally, thank you very much for watching.